afternoon, everybody, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you're coming from. You are all so welcome here. Just going to warm up a little bit while I wait for everybody to tune in here. If you're already here with me, I want you all to get out your fiddles. Fiddle means anything at all. Your violin, your viola, your cello, your bass, your kazoo, your nose flute. I want it all to come out. We're going to be learning some fiddle tunes today. Just going to check on the live stream here. Make sure I'm coming at you. Because even though we've been in quarantine for so long, I still don't trust my technique with these things. Yay, we're live. All right. Thanks for coming in. Okay, now I have the chat box open, so please say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. I'm Tessa Lark. If you're just tuning in, I want you to grab your fiddles, grab your instruments. We're going to be learning some bluegrass fiddle tunes today. Everybody, Tessa Lark. I'm just going to be playing a couple tunes for you all as you come in. I see quite a few of you are here. Yay! My face is frozen on my screen here, but if you can hear me and you can see me, please give me a shout out. Say hello. Tell me where you're coming from. When I bend down here, it's because I'm looking at your comments as they're coming in. I'm so grateful to be here with you all. Get out your fiddles. Get out your instruments. We're going to be learning a tune today and learning how to fiddle. I hear you all are pretty good at improvising here at the Benedetti sessions, so I'm going to utilize that skill that you all have, and we're going to learn to do some fiddling today. Let's see where everyone is coming from. Can hear you and see you. Wonderful. From South Africa. Oh my goodness. It's such an honor to be. Hello from Manchester, from Singapore, from Italy, from Kuwait, from Cape Town, oh my gosh, from London, from Aberdeen. Everyone's all over the place. This is so amazing, so cool. I am coming at you from New York City in my apartment where I have been quarantining. I'm in my practice room, which is probably no more than 3 meters wide, yet here we are, fitting all 100 of you here in my room today. I'm so excited to be here with you all. So I'm going to play a couple more tunes while you all come in. Thanks everyone for tuning in. 133 eyes I see here on Facebook. I think that's enough to get a little start. Late seating is totally welcome here. We're just having some fun for this after school session. I'm going to be teaching you a fiddle tune and talking about my life as a double agent, as the great violinist Gil Shaham called me a couple weeks ago. I was primarily trained in classical music, but I was born and raised in Kentucky, and my father plays bluegrass banjo, so I grew up with a lot of different American improvised styles going on in the house, and I have always been inspired by not the differences between all of these different styles of music, but the similarities between them. I find that the real interest in the wealth of information in all these styles of music are the similarities between them. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that with you today too, as we learn these fiddle tunes. So that's kind of about me. I'm Tessa Lark. I'm so grateful to the Benedetti Foundation to have me here today. So I've been saying, get out your fiddles, folks. Get out your violins, violas, cellos, basses, nose flutes, piccolos, drums, pots and pans. It's all going to work today. Let's see, everybody's here. Awesome. So, I said I grew up in Kentucky, even though I'm here in New York City. Kentucky is known as the Bluegrass state. Bluegrass is a type of grass, it really is. And it's not really blue, but when the lighting hits it, the sun hits it just right, it does have a purplish, bluish tint to it, which is really, really beautiful. Bluegrass is also a style of music. The term bluegrass comes from the father of bluegrass, Bill Monroe, and his band, the Bluegrass Boys. So that's where the term comes from. In the influence, it is called bluegrass. There actually is influence on the blues. I know some of you learned about the blues earlier this week from the legend Wynton Marsalis. So there's a lot of blues influence, and you'll actually hear, I will mention some of the things that Wynton was talking about on Tuesday in this tune that I teach you. Lots of similarities there, lots of influence from the Appalachian region of the United States, which is the eastern mountain range of the U.S. Lots of Scots and Irish influence as well, and you'll hear that in the different types of embellishments we use in improvisation. So bluegrass is really a mix of so many amazing different styles. It came to be in the earlier 1900s, and it's one of my favorite styles to play. What makes bluegrass special? Certain sounds that you'll hear in bluegrass that are dead giveaways that you're playing country or bluegrass music or Appalachian music is emphasis on offbeats. So in classical music, we tend to practice on the beat, right? I actually find that it's very helpful to practice classical music on offbeats now that I know bluegrass music. So you might have heard in the tunes that I was playing that there's emphasis on the offbeat. So if our rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So you hear the emphasis on the offbeat. 1, off, 2, off, 3, off, 4, off. Can you all play that with me? That's just a very standard bowing that you'll see in all kinds of fiddle music. So get your fiddles out. You can strum along with me, but I want to hear the accent on the offbeats and not on the downbeats, if that makes sense. So I don't want to hear, right? I want to hear off, off. 1, 2, play it with me, go. 1. See if you can even feel the gravity on these offbeats with your body. Also classical music, you get a lot of influence in what you're playing from dance moves, and that actually applies to bluegrass and Appalachian music as well. There's a type of dance called clogging, which my parents are really great at, actually, and it is a flat-footed style of dance, and you actually you feel a lot of gravity on downbeats, but then there's also a lot of action, a lot of muscle required on the offbeats. So it's okay to feel this in your body. In fact, highly recommended. It'll help you really get the feeling of that bluegrass offbeat. So that's one element of bluegrass. Very important element is the rhythm in bluegrass. Another special thing about bluegrass is that there is a forward feeling to the music. When you play blues, you feel more on the backside of the beat, right? And then in classical music, you're trying more or less to be right on the beat, or there are different uses of rubato, right? Taking or giving back time in the music that's much more fluid. But in bluegrass, the rhythm is usually moving forward, so that's why you get this really fast-paced, high-energy feeling to it. And the offbeat emphasis actually gives it that feeling of moving forward. You see, so it's not which is another style of folk music that I'm not going to talk as much about today, which is a more backside beat, but bluegrass is that real charged feeling that you get. Another thing that is unique about bluegrass and other folk styles of music, as opposed to classical training, the use of vibrato is quite sparing, as you'll notice. There are some high lonesome moments, they call it, when you're playing slower ballad-like bluegrass, when you would use some vibrato, but it's never that romantic style of playing. So I'll play you a little bit of the tune that we're going to learn. But a classical player might... And that's just something you don't really hear in bluegrass. It's pretty flat tone. So I want you to remember all of these things as we get out our instruments and we're going to learn a fiddle tune. So remember, the emphasis here is going to be on the rhythm, it's going to be on the offbeats, and it's going to be on this special, like, drone-like sound, which will come from this Scots-Irish influence. Are you all ready? Get out your fiddles, get out your nose flutes. I want to see in the comments you all are ready to play. Oh, someone's unable to play. That's all right. I'm so glad you're here. I see Nikki Benedetti's here. Get out your violin, girl! Learn this tune. This tune is called Cripple Creek. It is a very traditional, very standard tune in the old-timey and bluegrass repertoire. It's usually in the key of A, but since there might be some violists, cellists here, we're going to learn it in the key of D. So, get out your instruments, and I am going to play through the tune for you in a more fancy-pants way, which I will teach you how to play, and then I will play it through in a more standard way, and then we'll get to learning the tune. So here it is. And then very basic. That's Cripple Creek, y'all. So, instruments out. Now is the time we're all going to play together. So, bluegrass tunes are traditionally in A and B form, right? There's an A part and then there's a B part. And within both of those parts, there are two different phrases, kind of like question, answer. You did some call response earlier this week. So, said there are two parts, A and B. I'm going to play for you now just the A part. And the rhythm is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you might notice that there is your part 1, phrase 1, right? And then phrase 2, okay? So, and the B part is going to be just the same. It's also going to have two easy parts like that. So we're in the key of D, right? If you're playing with a string instrument, that's your third finger in first position on the A string, right? On a D. I'm going to go bar by bar, and then I'm going to play it for you, and then you can play it after me. So here is the first bar. 1 and 2 and now you play it 1 and 2 and you hear that there's that shuffle rhythm that I was talking about earlier. You're going to see that all the time in this tune. So again, ready, play it with me now. There we go. And then the second part is, I'm going to play that again. And so put together. Yeah? So play with me. Ready and go. And let's do it again. And then the next part, the first half of it is the same. Yay! Then we go. We conclude. Right? Question answer. So this is the second half of part A. You want to play that with me? Ready? Go. So this is part A. You want to play that with me? Great. So now we'll go to part B. Again, you're going to hear two different sections, and the first half of both sections will be the same. Yay! It's going to sound like this. There's that shuffle rhythm again, right? Play that with me. Great. One more time. Yay! And then the next part is fun. Right? So part A of the B, phrase 1 of the B section goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? Let's do that again. Great. And then as I said, phrase 2 starts like phrase 1. And then the end. That's it. So phrase 2. One more time. Let's try and put all of the B part together. I'm going kind of fast just so we have time to have fun. Try and play it with me. I'm going to play a little faster. I'm going to play it through. A twice through, B twice through. That is the standard way of playing fiddle tunes, and then we're off to the races, and we'll do some improv. So here we go. A 1, a 2, a tie my shoe. Try it on your own. So I'm gonna sing it and I'm gonna comp you. So here goes. A 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Nice. Sounded way better than my singing. Great job. So that's the whole tune. You might have noticed I played some chords underneath there. What do you know? They're 1, 4, and 5 chords, just as we learned, that are typical in blues. It's also typical in bluegrass. So the first part of the melody, I said we're playing in the key of D, right? So that's the chord D. Pentatonic sounds are pretty good in bluegrass. You can bend the third. That also has a very folksy sound to it. There's an ambiguity to the major or minor third in a lot of folk music. So chord of D for the first part of A. D, and then the 4 chord, which in the key of D is G. Then back to 1. So the first part of A is 1 and a 1 and a 4 and a 1, 1 and a 5 and a 1. Right? So you have 4, 1, 1, 1, 5, 1. And then part B is all the 1 chord except for the end, like part A. So all 1, 5 and a 1. So you can see that I am comping my singing, my beautiful singing, with some shuffle bowing. And this is a way to play along with any fiddle tune. If you know the chords, you can just shuffle along in the background with an emphasis on that offbeat, right? So I'll sing it again, and you can comp with me. So for our 1 chords, we're just going to play open D and A string, right? And for the 4 chord, we can play open G and D string. And then for the 5 chord, we'll just play E and open A. So that's all you need is your 1 chord, your 4 chord, your 5 chord, your 1. And this is a great way to comp in all kinds of folk music. If you don't know the tune, the first thing to really know is the harmonies of a tune. And so this is a great way to join in with a band if you don't feel confident in the melody. So again, I'll sing the melody and you can comp with me. So ready and go. Very nice. Okay, so now I'm going to play the melody, and I want you to do the comping behind me. Are you ready? 1, 2, ready, comp me. 1, 5, 1, 5. I was wrong. 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 1. can comp is by simply plucking along if you want. You can find those chords, which is a thing that a mandolin probably would do, but if there are no mandolins around, you can add that. And you can also just add some kind of rhythmic sounds. If there's time, I'll talk about chopping later. I don't think there will be. So now, improvisation elements on bluegrass tunes. You can tell that I've been using a lot of drones. A lot of the keys of bluegrass tunes that you'll learn are in simple keys that utilize a lot of open strings. So the melody, I can just add the strings around that melody. And that'll give me a great drone-like sound, which comes from the Scottish-Irish influence on the music. Sounds a lot like bagpipes, right? You can also add some grace notes. Right? So I'm playing, instead of just adding a grace note below, much like you might embellish some Baroque style music, right? Some Bach. It's no coincidence that in Scottish music, Irish music, you have jigs, and they're jigs in Bach, and the embellishments are actually quite similar. So, and you can be a little lazy with your left-hand fingers, so it almost sounds like a slide as opposed to, which is a dead giveaway that you've been classically trained. It's a little too articulate. So emphasis on offbeats, but also emphasis on the notes that are out of the chord. So on those grace notes. Not right, but emphasis on the grace note. And this is not right. It's just lazy fingers. Right, that's a more like Scottish, Irish sound. Slides, which is the next thing after if it's not a grace note. Right? But again, not too much strength in the fingers. Starts sounding a little classical. Nice and relaxed and smooth in the left hand. Bowings are very important in bluegrass. If you want to sound like a bluegrass player, try and slur over the downbeats if you can. So if I'm playing, if I'm improvising, did you hear there? I didn't play, but I played. And the slur helps me get on a down bow on the offbeats. So if you use a down bow on the offbeats, that is naturally going to give you some more weight and emphasis. So try and avoid emphasizing the downbeat even with your bowings. Even try slurring over it. So here, I'll give more of an example. So it's like 3 notes. A very typical bluegrass bowing. And then another thing that I'm doing is I'm just embellishing around the melodic notes. So if the notes are right, I'm just playing around that first note. Right? And then I'm just filling in notes in the scale down to the next note. So, right, that's the note, the next note, but you could even play, you know, you're trying to just fill in the spaces. So that's the same thing. I just kind of twirled around that note. And there I just filled the spaces between, right? So you can pretty much keep the melody intact and just add a couple of notes here and there. So you could even do below the note. right? There's so many ways around the notes, and it's usually diatonic in nature in fiddle music. In bluegrass, sometimes they get into more chromatic stuff. And you can, that's when you can start utilizing those slides. Another fun rhythm in bluegrass music for the more advanced players is the shuffle rhythm, which is, right? So if we were in the key of D, right? So it's like a triplet over a duple meter, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So all it is 3, right? And it just resets at the end of the bar. 2, 3, 4, 1, right? But when it's fast, again, and the emphasis on the odd beats, on the odd things, right? That's what gives the music its spice. So those are some elements you could use in this tune, Cripple Creek. So I'm going to try and use some of those elements and play it through for you. If you want to comp me while I play it, I'm going to play it through once, and then I'm going to comp you, and you can try adding any of your own embellishments. So here we go. This is Cripple Creek. It's a 1, 2, a 1, 2. Comp with me, please. Now you play. Woo! I like that one, yes. Woo! Yes, yes. That's Cripple Creek, y'all. You're all fiddling. You're fiddlers. You're gonna put me out of a job. This sounds amazing. Aw, thank you all so much. I think we're overtime. If you have any questions, though, I'm just hanging out. So I'll go here into the chat room, and if you have any questions for me, I'll answer them. But this was a speed learn of bluegrass. Man, does a half hour fly real fast. I was talking to you about bluegrass music, its influences from blues, from African American musics, where the banjo comes from. A lot of the fiddle music comes from African music as well. Scots Irish influence from the Appalachian region as well. A lot of the elements of bluegrass that are crucial are that there's emphasis on offbeats. There is a forward feeling to the music, right? Rhythm is key, and you use vibrato pretty sparingly unless you're playing some more melodic music. And then we learned the tune Cripple Creek. That's a real traditional tune. Any fiddle player you're going to play with, or a banjo player, they're going to know that tune, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. All it involved was the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords. 1, 4, 5. And some elements of improvisation in bluegrass. You've probably heard about this in other sessions. It's using drone notes, right? Using embellishments, using grace notes above or below the notes, but really relaxed left hand, so it's not too articulate, classical sounding. Embellishments around the melodic notes, filling in spaces is a way in, and also using different bowings and rhythms that emphasize odd rhythms, the offbeats, right? Not the downbeats. You're always trying to get that upbeat feeling, but also that down-home, flat-footed, dance-like feel in bluegrass. And then the way I ended that tune just now is very common in a lot of bluegrass tunes. And if you want to add your little shave and a haircut, that's something that people do too, just sort of tag the end. I'm going to see if anybody has some questions in here before I tune off, tune out, tune, retune my fiddle. Cool, everyone's having fun. Yay! How long have I been playing violin? A while. I started when I was 6 years old. You might be able to tell from the bags under my eyes, the wrinkles on my skin, my age. But I've been playing for a little while, and I actually played the mandolin before I ever played the violin when I was 4. A couple decades now. Alright everybody, it's 11:35. I don't want to keep you all for too long. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Nikki Benedetti, and we'll meet you in person sometime soon, and to the Benedetti Foundation. This is so much fun. I hope I can see you all in person, and we can have a round robin and actually jam this tune together. I hope you all had fun. I hope you all keep playing bluegrass, and I hope this brings some insight into other folk-inspired classical music, other styles of music that you're playing in your life. There are a lot more similarities in this music than differences, so I hope you go and find all those similarities in your life. And thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your Thursday. Bye-bye.